Hi, Todd VanDenburg here with VanDenburg Capital Management and another Uncommon Sense update. So, pretty eventful week, huh? Unless you've been living under a rock, the election from last week, we've got President Trump has been reelected. The former President Trump, soon now President-elect Trump, will be the 47th President of the United States. The Republicans have taken control of the Senate, and it's well over 90% likely that the Republicans also retain control of the House of Representatives. So I've been getting a lot of questions. What does this mean? Is the stock market going to crash? Should I go to cash? Um, Oddly enough, I got a lot of those questions before the election. And people saying that, gosh, if Trump wins, the market's going to crash. So should I get out? And I talked most people off of that ledge, but as we've all seen in the past week, the stock market has reacted in a way that would at least lead most reasonable people to believe that the markets think that this election wasn't a bad thing. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is the number one question I've been receiving from people this past week is, Trump talks about how he's going to use tariffs. And if he puts tariffs on so many of the goods and services that we use in the United States today, is that going to increase the cost of everything, therefore increasing inflation? So the first thing I want to say on this is, we have a track record to go by at this point. So during the first Trump administration, he did use tariffs, but he used them more as a club. He wasn't trying to necessarily use them as a way to say, we're going to make everything in America no matter what it costs. He used them more as a club against countries like China to say, hey, you're dumping, I'll use steel as an example, you're dumping your steel into the United States, and that's making it so that US steel manufacturers really can't be competitive. You're being anti-competitive on a global stage. So he threatened them with tariffs, and in the end, the U.S. ended up winning because the steel industry continued to grow. That was in no small part one of the reasons for Trump's win in Pennsylvania. So that's the way. Again, if we go based upon how Trump used tariffs during his first 4 years, unless he switches gears and does something unexpected, it's a little early to be assuming he's just going to put tariffs on everything, and who cares about what happens to the cost of goods in the United States. I don't think he's given any evidence that will be the action, but I'll be watching it on a daily basis, right? Because we still have a couple of months, a couple months until he gets sworn in, and then he's got to start doing stuff as far as issuing executive orders, which he's going to issue a ton of. But we really need to see, what is he going to do? And again, not all tariffs are bad, right? So if he puts tariffs on, again, I'm going to pick on China, on Chinese goods because they're just dumping them into the United States to shore up their own economy, well, it's not a bad thing to put a tariff on them so that they don't kill a bunch of businesses in the United States. Now, if that was the only action that he took, yeah, the prices, because the prices in the United States would be a little higher, that could cause some inflation. But what most of the experts I'm seeing in the media aren't even considering is, well, what other actions might he take that have nothing to do with tariffs that might offset maybe an increased cost of getting something out of China? And one of those things is energy. It's highly likely that he and his administration are going to make it significantly easier to mine rare earth metals in the United States, to drill for oil and gas in the United States. And by doing those things, if we're able to get more rare earth metals, so we can maybe manufacture more semiconductors in the United States, more solar panels in the United States, right? That ends up being a good thing for the U.S. economy. And if the cost of energy, gas and natural gas and oil If that comes down significantly from where it is now, then potentially an increase to the price of something getting it from China is going to be offset by the decrease in the cost of energy in the United States. So this is not as simplistic as the media wants to make it. There's going to be some give and take here, and that's what we need to be following. There's a lot of emotion around this election. I completely get it. It's what 51-49 or 49.5 to 50 point. I mean, that's not a landslide. That's not a blowout. There have been closer elections, no doubt. Bush versus Gore, that was super close. And there have been elections that were, a bigger landslide. So this one was, Trump won the popular vote. He won their electoral college, but not overwhelmingly. So there's a lot of people that are just concerned. And to leave tariffs for just a second, my really only concern at this point, given that he hasn't even been inaugurated yet, is will the half of the country who really didn't want him to be president start doing things that cause negative impacts to the economy that they fear will happen if and when he starts doing whatever he's going to do. And I've said this, I don't know, on a few different occasions over the last 20 years. If we're not careful, we can cause the problems that we fear. So we got to be careful here in the coming, couple of years, because that's really how long a Trump administration has to do some of these major changes that they talk about. Because if what they do is hugely unpopular and causes inflation and just makes everybody generally cranky, 2 years from now, there will be another election. The Democrats will take control of the House and the Senate, and the Trump administration will be done doing anything. And then 2 years after that, he's gone forever. So we just have to be very careful to not go overboard and cause the problems that we fear. Because if the roughly 50% of the population that didn't vote for him decides we're all going to cash, the market's going down and nobody can hide from it. And they'll all say, look, see what Trump did, but it wouldn't have been Trump. So we got to be careful. We got to follow the data. We got to rely on math, and we got to do as much as we can to not be lured by our emotions, our fears, our anger. That's a legitimate, feeling to have right now. So that we cause the problems that we fear. It's what the Trump administration is going to do is significantly different than what the Biden administration did. And so now, we're just going to have to watch just as closely to make sure that what the things that the Trump administration does, that we're in the places where we can make money and that we're not in the places that aren't. So if anybody has any questions about this or any other, what's going to happen if question, please email me, text me, call me, post to this video. I'm happy to answer any question. Some of them I may not answer in public because, I don't know, posting stuff online just guarantees that both sides are going to hate you. There's no winning in social media, but when I call somebody on the phone and I explain to them, the rationale behind, where I sit, and my positions, normally we can come to agreement on stuff and it all ends up fine. So just reach out to me individually and I will respond to you individually with an answer that's tailored to your specific circumstance. So that was your update. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, give us a share, and I'll be back again soon with another Uncommon Sense update. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to be the first to hear of more Uncommon Sense updates like these, please click the subscribe button below. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again.